All right, well, here we are in the new studio. First painting in the new studio, pretty exciting stuff. Now, yesterday, if you watched my video about relay cutting here, you'll hear me talking about the first painting I was going to do was a still life in here. But this morning, it was going to be such a good day that I got up early, got out in the scrub and watched the sunrise and took tons of footage. Absolutely beautiful imagery. And of course, what I did then is I thought, well, the first painting has to be that because the day was so beautiful. I've got such good footage, B-roll and whatever, that I thought I was really inspired by that. So I thought, right, here we go. This is going to be today's painting, the first painting in the studio. All right, and as usual, what I've got here is the clear prime Belgian linen. It's the really coarse stuff. And I'll be using heaps of oil paint and of course these trusty palette knives. Pretty exciting, the fact that here I am in the new studio, first painting. Cannot wait. Hopefully the lighting's all right. We'll see how we go because it's all a bit of an experiment. Okay, let's get into it. All right, here we go, eh? First mark. Going to get a bit of white, titanium white. Now, this is important, this mark. This is going to establish the whole thing. I reckon it'll be there. All right, that'll do it. Okay, so I've got my bearings. Now I'll work around, go for the darkest darks and whatever else. Now I just want to establish that light because that will be the sunlight. Let's go for some alizarin crimson, bit of Viridian green. Viridian green, alizarin crimson, okay. Bit more of the red alizarin crimson involved with that. A little bit more red dominant. Just feeling my way as we go. All right, we'll have a look. That can be there. A little bit off there. That looks very abstract at the moment. I'm just going to stand back and have a look because I just want to make sure I've got things in the right spot before I get too carried away. Okay, well that's all right now. I've gone back to white and I'm just going to block in a bit. Well, not block in actually, just do a little bit of draftsmanship. Just feeling my way through. Using straight paint with no medium and working wet on wet technique. Right, that'll be about there. Yeah. This one can come in here. It's starting to warm up a bit now. That can be there. Just feel my way through. It's kind of almost like putting chalk on toned paper, I guess. If you were doing charcoal and chalk, it's a little bit like that at the moment. Because I'm working on a toned surface of the clear primed Belgian linen, it's a similar sort of effect. Come down in here. Now, people often ask, can I see the photo reference? And I guess you can, but it's not really that important. I'll tell you why, because no painting that I do, I would say from a photo, I don't copy the photo literally. I use it as a guide because I find that almost every single photograph is not quite the right flow that I want. And so I alter it and I move things around and I change a few colours here and there. So if I showed you what I was doing, you might be disappointed. I mean, it looks fairly similar, but you might go, oh, you've got something wrong there. You haven't put the so-and-so in place. And it's like, well, I don't want that because I meant to do it like that. So, the photo is the guide to create an interesting work of art. And if you're working plein air, you'll really feel that because you can get too bogged down literal in painting from a photo because there's nothing else around you but the photograph. Whereas if you're painting plein air, everything's around you and changing, tends to make you more free and open to other things, not just exactly what you're looking at, but maybe a little bit over there you're bringing in. So doing plenty of that plein air stuff like that kind of teaches you not to be absolutely literal, because you need to compose the picture. Now I'm composing here, I might stand back and have a look. Just go that way a bit. All right. Yep. A few branches just here, kicking around. That one's going out that way. It's quite a complicated arrangement here. What I might do now is change tack and start putting the tonal values in. I've done enough linear stuff, I think. We are recording, that's good. I don't want to be just standing here talking to myself. Okay. What are we going to use? We'll try a bit of Viridian green, maybe a bit of magenta. Still quite dark, I might lighten it a little bit. Viridian green, magenta, a bit of yellow ochre. What do we got, yellow ochre? What is that? Hang on, burnt sienna. I'm trying to get a fairly neutral kind of tertiary colour of the foliage, looking into the light. It'll be somewhere along those lines. Something like that. Okay, coming down. One thing you notice when you're painting on this really coarse linen, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, Viridian green. One thing you notice, because of the coarse texture, it uses a heck of a lot of paint. But you don't worry about that. I try not to worry about that. It's the end result is still a nice effect. Once the paint's on, you've really got something to work with then. Okay, burnt sienna, white, magenta and green. On it goes. Magenta, Viridian green, yellow ochre, white, bit of burnt sienna, bit more Viridian green and burnt sienna. It's a lovely type of neutral colour. I'm going to have to work out a few things, like I'm reaching over a heck of a long way to be able to reach the painting. I'll work things out as I go because it's the first painting in this studio. Yeah, because this is the first painting, we're all sort of higgledy-piggledy, doing whatever, but I'll get used to something sooner or later. Pull them together. Something like that. I can see in this painting I'm going to be using a lot of the magenta. Unfortunately, I haven't got it in the big cartridges like that, all the tins, but that doesn't matter. Just work with what I got at the moment. All right, here we go. Magenta, white, maybe a twang of burnt sienna in that. Hang on, a bit of orange. I just want to see what I'm going for a very light value here. It was a beautiful morning looking into the light. Absolutely beautiful. Just as the sun came up, I actually got up at, what was it, 4 o'clock in the morning, went for a run, as you do, a bit more orange, went for a run, then quickly got back, jumped straight in the car, drove out of town to a location where I knew the sun would be a very good vantage point. And it was absolutely beautiful where I was. I just stood there and took tons of footage. Beautiful sunny day. Just doesn't get much better. Sunny morning. So I'm just blocking in a mixture of magenta, cad orange, a little bit of burnt sienna, and of course white. You can also see, take some of that off. I'm going to keep that fairly open there in light value. Keep on going. Just introduce a little bit of blue as I go off to the edges. Got a ultramarine blue today. So there's a little bit more blue with the magenta over here. Twang more. Magenta again, white. What do we got there? Something like that. Bit of that in there, bit of that there. Orange, brown, magenta, white. Bit more magenta. So around where the sun's shining, it's particularly orange. As it drifts off around the edges, it goes more of magenta. Maybe a twang of green just to knock it back a bit. Let's have a look. Let's get the local colour. The local colour of the trees themselves as well as the atmospheric colour. So I'm going slightly darker in value as I get closer. A bit more magenta, viridian green by the looks of it. Oh, that's a nice one. Nice colour and value. Ever so slightly darker. We'll drop off into some more here. Burnt sienna, magenta, more magenta. Yeah, looking into the sunlight, there's unbelievable amounts of magenta involved. And then very quickly, once the sun got up, it just went away and that was it. But just that initial bang, beautiful. There. Let's go for some viridian green, yellow ochre and white, burnt sienna, more burnt sienna. What am I doing here? It's got to be a lower key. Run out of green as well, and another one that I haven't got in a cartridge. Viridian green, burnt sienna, magenta. Trying to get a fairly dark value, but with a little bit of chromatic saturation, so of the grass colour. So I'm introducing the yellow ochres and the greens, but I'm also keying it down a fair bit. How high will we go there today? We'll come through here. Maybe about that high. Viridian green, magentas, yellow ochres, bit of that white that I mixed earlier. Throw it all in. More yellow ochre, viridian green again. want to get a nice coverage of paint. Plenty of paint to play with. So that goes on. Lovely. Yellow ochre. Pretty and green burnt sienna. Magenta. That's it. Plenty of paint. Chunky style. On she goes. Yellow ochre, excuse me, Viridian green, burnt sienna, magenta, more yellow ochre. It's amazing how much paint I'm going through. It's all part of it. Yellow ochre, Viridian green. There we go. Good coverage. All right. More yellow ochre, white, some of those magenta colours from earlier. Light value, yellow ochre, magenta. As I said, there's tons and tons of magenta. A little bit of cat orange, tons of magenta in this one. Yes. It's all very subtle stuff. It goes a little bit more of a blue and magenta look as the grass recedes off into the distance. So I've got some ultramarine blue and magenta. White. Got to go a lot of value than that. White. I think it's a bit of Viridian green. White. Put that in there. A little bit of it through here with that stuff. That's the thing though, like I'm saying, I'm copying what I'm looking at here, but at the same time I'm also aware that it's slightly different than it was in reality. So what I'm trying to do is also bring it back to something that I remember this morning when I was looking. Those frosty sort of colours like that. Blend some of that into there, a bit of blending. I'm getting all the deeper undertones in, and it's a bit hard to see what's going on at the moment, but as soon as I start putting a light in around the sky and whatever, all shall be revealed hopefully then. Let's go some cad, orange, some white, a bit more magenta. Definitely more white. Around like that as it goes out. Up there. Beautiful orange hill up here. And one in there. Some of it up there too. All right. Orange and magenta again. Just feel them away, a bit more orange. Thickening some of the colours up through here. Okay. All right, change tack. I'm going to go for some real high key sky colours. So I'll go white. Try a bit of the cad orange. Let's have a look. Maybe a bit of the cad yellow. Very high key indeed. Let's just apply some of it here, see what we got. That's beautiful stuff. Painting the negative space again. I can see we're going to use a lot of white. Why not? So that'll be here. A bit more cad orange in the mix to lower that tonal value, just that little bit. Okay. Filling in the negative space. This way, that way. Just got to pick out where I reckon I should go. Let me just work a little bit quicker to start with. Just get a bit in. And then, I'll stand back a minute, I'll start really pumping it in. I just wanted to get a basic feel of it. It's going all right. White, yellow, orange. Mix that up. A bit more orange. Keep it on going. Go a fair bit more orange now. Just where the sun is licking around the foliage, seems to be a deeper value of orange, so I've got a lower key, more of the cad orange, less of the white. Keep working around. Always tons to do in a big painting like this. Cad orange, white. Whoa, just want to make sure I don't wear any. Put some of that up. There we go, nice. It's all coming together, slowly but surely. More white. Gonna have to get a refill of that white in a minute, do a bit more of it, bit of yellow and orange. More white again, get plenty of it, real chunky style. More yellow. Lighten the value a little bit. Plough it and trowel it on. Just cruise along here, the edge. The knife upside down. Okay, right where the sun is, I'll just go to a slightly more smaller knife. Get this cat orange. Just put plenty of that on there. Chunky, chunky, chunky style. There we go, that's going on nice. Now I'll mix up so a little bit of magenta and white. Lighten the value of that magenta. Just put a bit of that on, let's have a look. A little bit more of the magenta, a bit less of the white. Alright, so we've got all those atmospheric colours coming in where the sun is, but in the sky I want a little bit of the local blue colour too, so I've got some cobalt blue, yellow ochre. Just put that in. Just got a little bit of that too, to give you the local feeling of the colour of the sky as well as the atmospheric stuff going on. A bit more of that. Cobalt blue, yellow ochre, and of course tons of white. On a painting like this, I'll keep the value light. Like that. That'll mix in. Like so. Getting there, getting there. Alright, now I might get a little bit of this blue again. Maybe a touch of red and green. Definitely going to need more white, hang on. That's one thing we're going through tons of, is the white, because it's a very high key value painting. So there's lots of white. A bit more blue. I just want these tree trunks to contrast dramatically with all those warm values. That was one of the things that was I found really interesting when I was there. It's just the contrasting colour between all the warm values and then the cool value of the trunk itself. Let's go a little bit of magenta as well. We'll do a magenta version. Pull that down there. Like that. There'll be another tree just here, which I've got to put back in because it's gotten a little lost, got to restate it. Just in there. There'll be one bending out over this way. Come down here. Shooting up there. That one can be there, yeah. A branch coming through there. Because I'm going through this white so quickly, I'm going to ditch the cartridges and go for the massive tins of paint. So this is the way to go if you want to really go chunky style. Get a big scoop of that. Stick that on there. Right. Okay, so let's keep on going with blue, yellow ochre. Get some good draftsmanship going on here. That can be there like that. That'll go that way. A bit more blue. Just feel those branches where you need them. You can go for any sort of blue here, a bit of ultramarine or a bit of cobalt, doesn't really matter. Because I'm varying it a little bit anyway with, hang on. I'm varying it a little bit with yellow ochres and magentas and whatever. So it's not pure. So it doesn't really matter which way you go. You can either go the cobalt blue, which is a very clean blue, or you can go the ultramarine, which has a little bit more red in it, I guess. More of a red dominant blue. Just keep on drawing in bits here and there. Where are we going to put this? Just feeling the composition. Trying to work out, like I was saying, don't always be super literal, that you're trying to get a good flow throughout the picture. There's going to be a big major trunk here. Darker, burnt sienna. I want to darken that one off, that one being there. That shoots up that way. Big old warrior going that way. Leading itself up through here. More magenta and blue. We're going to go one through here, I reckon. That'll be part of that one. And through there like that. A little bit of a thin one going out here. Up that way, through there. All right, now hang on. There's just plenty to be done. We just got to keep on going, don't we? Ultramarine blue, magenta. This old warrior here comes up and goes out this way. I like that, so I'm going to go with that. I'll just keep going a little bit more of this foliage, introduce a bit more of it. Get a bit more paint on the surface to work with. Burnt sienna, yellow ochre, viridian green. A bit more up here. Through here. More burnt sienna, viridian green, yellow ochre. Burnt sienna, maybe a bit of magenta to grey it off a bit of blues, just trying to make it a little bit less chromatically saturated. So I'll add a little bit of blue. Well, there's a little bit of light starting to form in the painting, which is always what we want. So I'll go for some, intensify some of these oranges here now. Really clean colours. More white and clean orange. So there's less of the ochres or whatever magentas. It's just a cleaner, stronger colour basically. Got to keep it clean though, because she gets muddy pretty easy. Hang on. what I'll do is I'll go for some pure orange in here. Just drop a little bit of orange around the edges with the light shining through. Yep. Just going to get a clean knife and clean it off with the paper towel and just rub through like so. Just bringing those edges together in random softening marks. Wipe it clean. That's working. It's a quick bin run. You do have to keep it quite clean doing this, so wipe it, pull through, and that just helps blend them so they're not just sitting looking at each other. Okay, it's starting to happen. Let's mix up some light values here. We'll get some yellow ochre, maybe a touch of that cat orange and white. Just do some of the wispy grasses here on top where the sun is just licking. A little bit in between the trees. That one off. Just kicking around like so. Nice and soft. Alright, so I'll get some of these blues and magentas and whatever and restate some of these trees in the paddock out here. There's a little bit of a line of them coming through here. Just got to get the right value. It's got to be subtle. Good variety of marks. Just got to keep working around, adding subtle bits here and there. Lighten that value. We're sort of starting to get there now, getting the big major block in, and then what I'll start doing is reeling it in. But at the moment I'm just feeling my way with the colours and tonal values, just getting the right blend and balance, and then once I feel like I've got pretty much the right colours and values, you start reeling it in a little bit more. So at the moment she's pretty broad. That doesn't matter, you just got to get everything right first before you chunk it in. Okay. Alright, just had a quick break, and what I've decided to do is move it into this room because to tell you the truth, I was having trouble with those fluoro lights. They suck. Got to work out a better lighting system for the studio, so I've actually moved into the gallery section, which has got much better lighting. It's got more natural light, but at the same time these gallery lights are also great, the ones that are supposed to shine on the painting. So I feel like now I can actually see what I'm doing a lot clearer and get ready to do the next phase of the painting. All right, there we go. We can see a lot easier as to what is going on. Soften some of these. All right, with quite a light tonal value, we'll just start picking out some of the highlights where the sun's licking the tops of the grass here. Keep it quite light. Get some pale greens. Stick little bits in where you feel like you need to. Giving the local colour of the grass itself in the shadows, those cool bits of green. All right, well I've come in today with fresh eyes and I've decided I'm just going to rework it a little bit more. It's got the big impression, it's got everything I want pretty much, but there's just a few compositional lines and flows that I want to alter, just that little bit just to make it flow better, maybe a little bit more refinement. A little bit up here, when I take this out, there was a little bit too much of a straight line following the eye up here, so maybe take some of that sky out, put a bit more foliage in there. Just in general, move around and have a look. All right, let's get into it. Maybe just put a little bit up here, just to establish that trunk. Excuse me, establish that trunk a little better. See the draftsmanship through there a little bit clearer. Get some cad yellow and white. Pick out a little bit of light hitting on the underside. Pick out the edge of the tree a little. Just go for a bit of white and yellow ochre maybe. Pull that through here. All right, well, I reckon, probably leave it at that. I reckon I got the big impression. Pretty happy with what's going on now. Got that beautiful morning light that I saw the other day. Fantastic stuff. So glad that I decided to do that instead of the still life. Celebrating light in the new studio. Beautiful warm colours against cool, complementary colours. The light, the magentas, the oranges, trying to sneak around the cool trunks of the tree. Just enough draftsmanship to describe form, but still keeping it fairly abstract. So up close, it's all about paint. And then from the distance, it's hopefully about reality and celebrating light. All right, so we've got a nice gradient of subtle colours here. Can't wait to get the camera off so you guys can have a look. All the subtle colours fading out into the oranges and magentas and the distant faded, hazed out look. Beautiful reds and oranges in here where the sun's trying to get around those trunks, finding it hard, so it's actually bleaching out the colour of the trunk and turning it to its local colour, so those oranges and reds and whatnot. Some subtle greens to play against all these complementary colours. Nice flow of the composition. On the whole, pretty happy with what's going on. So, why don't we get that camera off now, come buzzing right in so you guys can have a look. All right, thank you.